How's it going, everyone? I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr. Thank you very much for joining me. And this is another classic movie review. I'm talking about Angels with Dirty Faces, a great black and white film from 1938, directed by Michael Curtiz, the director of Casablanca. And this film stars James Cagney, Pat O'Brien, Humphrey Bogart, and the Dead End Kids. Now, this has a great story. It begins very similar to The Public Enemy, another great James Cagney gangster movie. So like in that film, the film starts out with our main character as a young sort of a street punk, sort of just starting out doing petty stuff as a kid. And we see right off the bat, at the beginning of the movie, his friendship with a character who will grow up to be a priest. There's a time jump after the first 5 minutes of the film. And through sort of like a montage, we see that Cagney's character has gone a different way than Father O'Connelly, who would stay close friends with Rocky Sullivan. And as Rocky sort of goes in and out of institutions as a young man, learns how to be a criminal basically in his young life. By the time he's older, he grows up to be James Cagney. He's like a full-fledged gangster, and he gets out, and these two pretty much pick up where they left off in terms of their friendship. And it's really cool to see two really different sort of types of people that have this sort of unspoken bond all throughout their a young, their sort of adolescence. They stayed friends. Yep, cars go vroom vroom. So yes, they do. Come on, people. Wow, what a busy street. Sorry, I'm so easily distracted by the vroom vrooms. So where was I? So James Cagney is making his mark on this neighborhood just by showing up after being locked up for a few years. There's some kids that are very impressionable that look up to him, that are pretty much going down the same road that he is. So he is just on the street one day. They see him. They think he's a mark. They pick his pockets, and he notices right after they pick his pockets, he realizes what they did, and he's not even pissed off. He sort of looks at them and sort of it just kind of gives him I think it gives him sort of a sentimental sort of feeling. Makes him think of when he was a kid, and I think he sees a lot of himself in them. And then he sort of follows them, gets his money back, and shows them, who's who, who's really running things, basically, because all of them know about him. They all look up to him, and when they find out who he is, and they see that he has his initials carved in their little hideout that they're using, there's a real sort of, I guess, kind of an apprenticeship, basically. He takes them under his wing, and that's kind of a threat to Father Connolly, who has been trying to basically shepherd these kids and help them find a better way. And so you have two people that really respect each other, James Cagney and Pat O'Brien, the gangster and the priest, and have completely different ideals. And so they have really strong influences on these kids, and these kids are definitely going down the wrong path, as you can see just by the way they talk, by the way they act, by the way it's just human nature for them to just do the opposite of good. Even when they play basketball, they can't get through a basketball game without decking a kid and taking the ball. And watching them play basketball in this movie is hilarious. There's a scene where the father has them play. He tries to basically get them to come down to this recreation center, and they don't want to go. But because the Cagney character, his name is Rocky. I think I already mentioned that. But yeah, James Cagney, Rocky, he sort of gives them that nudge, sort of influences them, like, yeah, go ahead, you guys go play basketball, and sort of makes it sort of fun for them by adding a little gambling into it. So uh, they jump at the chance to sort of prove themselves when he sort of eggs them on. And yeah, they play basketball, and it's not a pretty sight. There's a lot of traveling, a lot of that kind of thing, but still, it's funny to watch, and they're very it's very lively, group of kids, very um, they're very energetic and sort of wild, and for the most part, they seem like they could go with just the right sort of direction and the right leadership, that they could go down a better path, which is why Father Connolly knows how important it is for him to keep doing what he's doing. But as much as the James Cagney character is a friend to him, he doesn't want to see them go down the same route as the Rocky Sullivan character, James Cagney. So he talks to his friend. He talks to him to see if he'll sort of back off and just sort of let them find their own path, and just let them sort of grow up more on the straight and narrow. And so the whole movie comes to a head by the time we get to the finish, where there's a really effective scene with James Cagney at the end of the movie that completely took me by surprise. And watching it as a younger person, as I did as a young kid, it was the kind of thing where it always stayed in my mind, and I never forgotten it. And watching it now as an adult, it's still very powerful. I don't want to really talk too much about it, because it's the kind of thing that should be discovered for oneself as a moviegoer. But this movie has such a great message and such a powerful ending. And, as a classic black and white movie from this era, it is one of the best to come out from the late 30s. And as an overall film, I think as just a strong crime story, still holds up in terms of impact, because of the expert direction here by Michael Curtiz, the great script, great execution as far as everyone in the acting department is concerned. All the kids do a great job too, the Dead End kids. These kids were famous in their own right and had their own little string of movies around this time. And they did some more movies, I think, with Humphrey Bogart. At the time of this movie, Humphrey Bogart wasn't the biggest star, I think. So I think after this movie, once Maltese Falcon came around in Casablanca, he really sort of blew up. But in this movie, it's interesting to see him sort of cower to James Cagney. And I never thought that I'd ever see that until I saw this movie. So I'm thinking when this came out, maybe Humphrey Bogart wasn't sort of known for playing the tough guy, or maybe not a lead actor, because he is playing a supporting role here. But he's still great, and does show that he's still the same Humphrey Bogart, though he is not the lead tough guy, because he plays Cagney's lawyer in the movie, and I don't want to give anything away, but isn't the most loyal lawyer. So yeah, a lot of classic themes as far as the gangster film is concerned. Themes of sort of betrayal, and of course, revenge, and being a rat, the whole being a rat thing. It's all used to a maximum effect in one of my all-time favorite gangster classic black and white films, Angels with Dirty Faces. This is 4 stars, and a movie that I think can be found on streaming. Not too long ago, I did see it on the Turner Classic Movies section of HBO Max. But they're always taking off movies, so the hard copies are out there for you guys to find. This is the Blu-ray. I had to get it for myself because this is a film that I love, I cherish. It is a masterpiece from Michael Curtiz. And yeah, there's Cagney there. There's Pat O'Brien, Humphrey Bogart there. And there's the kids in the background. And the movie does really have a real raw, sort of a street feel to it. It doesn't feel like a movie that was shot on a back lot, though for all I know, maybe it was. But maybe that's just because They did such a good job as far as the direction wise and production wise. It really does feel like you're on the streets of like Little Italy or something like that. Like some real like sort of slum part of old New York. And yeah, Angels with Dirty Faces, please check it out. It is a great classic movie. I didn't want to give away too much because the third act is, it's to be discovered for, like I said, for oneself. But just want to get the message about a lot of these old films out there. I know a lot of these movies aren't talked about that much these days, so that is my primary goal here with this channel. Talk about a lot of these old relics, old gems that aren't talked about anymore. So at least not by that many people that I see on YouTube. So hopefully if at least one person can pick up a copy of one of these old films or come across it on streaming, I would have done my job. So that's all I can ask for, and that is the goal. So thank you very much for hearing me out. Appreciate you, and please be on the lookout for more of these classic movie reviews. Please share, like, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, I'm just trying to get it going, just starting out. So still at the beginning stages. Hopefully within the next couple of years, it will, sort of get a little more traction, get some more subscribers, and I can get way more videos out there. And I'm going to keep doing this as long as it takes. So a lot more movies to talk about. There are so many classics, and I have seen so many movies. So lots on the way. So thank you very much. Appreciate you listening. Take care and God bless. Peace.